few days since you've seen a video from me. Hey, I apologize for that. We had our fifth church anniversary, and it was a whirlwind weekend. We had bringing in the Pastor Ray Harmon from City Church in Plano, Texas. He flew in. He and his wife took him around. It was his first time in Los Angeles, so took him around, see some of the sights. It got very busy, but I tell you, if you weren't at our service on Sunday, either in the morning or the afternoon, you truly missed something to behold. He gave us a message that was in time. It's actually appropriate for what I've been saying on this blog, the vlog. I came outside today. There's a park at the end of my street, a little bitty park, and it's such a beautiful day. And I just really wanted to come outside and be in the creation of the Father. But where we're going today, really thinking, meditating, and marinating on that word that I got from Pastor Ray. He titled his sermon Hidden in Plain Sight, and he was using Exodus chapter 17, verses 1 through 7, dealing with the children of Israel as they are halfway or almost halfway through their journey from Egypt to the promised land. And he brought up a point that he said that the people, their feet were heading towards the promised land, but their hearts were still in Egypt. And it really struck me to think about where we are as believers in our walk with Christ, and the things that we're struggling with when we're trying to reconcile our faith with what's happening in our lives. That we're in a place of not fully surrendering to the will of God, but holding on. We talk the game that we're walking with Christ, but our hearts are really tied into other places and tied into other things. The question we have to ask ourselves: where are our hearts? Because the other part that he brought up with the children of Israel, and they were with Moses and Joshua, particularly Moses is leading the people, but they were in the middle of God's will, but yet they were still in famine. And what we found in that scripture is that they had nothing to drink. There was no water. They were in the will of God, but they were still in famine. They were in drought. In our lives, for me, it's the job hunt. For you, it could be a job hunt. For it could be your relationship with your people. These same recurring themes keep coming up: health, relationships, jobs, family, marital issues, health issues. That we believe, why is it that we are being punished, or why are we suffering when we're doing God's will? Well, it's because you can still be in God's will and still be in the middle of a drought. You can still be in the middle of a famine. You can still be in the middle of the storm, even though you are following God and in the middle of His will. Because ultimately, it's inconvenient for us to be obedient. We still have to give our will, our love, our hearts, our all to God, no matter what the circumstances, no matter what the cost. We still have to trust in God. So while our feet are moving towards the promised land, we need to circumcise our hearts and let go of what we're holding on into the past. Because Pastor Ray said, when we focus on what we lost and not on what we have left, then we're losing sight of God. We cannot lose sight of God in the middle of what we're going through. We have to keep our eyes on God. We have to keep our hearts and our feet, our minds focused and stayed on God to get us from point A to point B. The problem with the children of Israel, when you're walking a dual walk, walking one way and your heart somewhere else, you keep going through the same issues. The same thing keeps coming up. A 21-day journey for the children of Israel turned into 40 years because they wouldn't let go of the things that were keeping them from getting to the promise that God had for them. So God has a promise in all of our lives. And you'll read in that scripture that God had told Moses that when you go, I will be there before you. God is already waiting on us. We're not waiting on him. He's waiting on us to get our acts together, for us to get our hearts and minds in the same direction that the feet are walking. If our feet are walking towards God, we must align our hearts to go towards God. Remember, God is here, but is hidden in plain sight because we will not open our eyes, we will not open our hearts to see him, to hear him, to follow him. So I encourage you this day, if God is hidden from your view, stop where you are and pray. Ask God to purge your heart, to circumcise you of the things that are holding you back. So if your feet are walking towards God, that your hearts will be walking as well. And then you will see God move in your life. I'm going to end today as I see some kids coming to play at the park, the playground over here. But I'm just going to let you know that I love you and there is nothing you can do about it. Have a great rest of your day.